Alright, and welcome back. I put my muscle into it and glare right back at him. And he answers.
そう。絶対にならなければならない。なぜならそれは、エミやシローにとってただ一つの感情だからだ。逆らうことも否定することもできない感情。たとえそれが自身の内から現れたものでないとしても。
His heart-wrenching words stopped me in my tracks. It's a desire that didn't come from within me. I denied before I even considered what that means. I can't let him make me say it. I can't realize what he means. Deep down, I know that if I comprehend what he means, then Chiro Emiya's very foundation will crumble away.
ほう。その様子では、うすうす感づいてはいたようだな。いや、初めから気づいていて、それを必死に遠ざけていただけだったのか。今の俺では、思い出すことさえできないが。
I clamp my lips shut. I don't want to know. I know that I shouldn't know. Still, I finally realized that I have to know it. Shiro Emiya's paradox. The answer to what my mistake was. And what's wrong with me.
俺には、もはやお前の記憶などない。だが、それでもあの光景だけは覚えている。一面の炎と、充満した死の匂い。絶望の中で助けを乞い、叶えられた時の感情。エミやキリツグという男の、俺を助け出した時に見せた安堵の顔を。
I accepted my death and my heart was empty. Then someone saved me. My rescuer smiled at me with tears in his eyes. When I saw that, I thought that he looked so happy.
そうだ。お前はただ一人助けられたことで、助けられなかった人々に後ろめたさを感じていたわけじゃない。ただ、エミやキリツグに憧れただけだ。あの男の、お前を助けた顔があまりにも幸せそうだったから、自分もそうなりたいと思っただけ。
Right. Back then, I wasn't the one who was saved. I consider a thought that I'd been avoiding. If Kiritsugu caused that fire, then the guilt would have been unbearable. It was a tragedy without a single survivor. Kiritsugu must have searched for survivors like a man possessed. And then he found one, when none were expected. He found the child that should have been beyond helping, so shouldn't even have been alive. What a miracle that must have felt like. But I understood that he saved me. I didn't know his circumstances. It was good enough for me that someone rescued me from that hell. Even if the emotion was directed at himself, his will to save me, and the earnestness of wishing for someone to be saved were all genuine. And that was enough. It was enough for me that Kiritsugu Emiya saved me after I had become nothing. That's why...
そう。子が親に憧れるのは当然だ。だが、お前はそれが行き過ぎた。エミやキリツグがなりたかったものに憧れるだけならよかった。だが、最後に奴はお前に呪いを残した。言うまでもないだろう。それがお前の全てだと言ってもいい。
じいさんの夢は俺が。
That was the answer. A man even emptier than me heard my innocent words and trusted his wish to me in relief and passed away. From that moment on, Shiro Emiya had no choice but to become a hero of justice. My own feelings didn't matter. All I needed to do was become the person I looked up to for the sake of someone I looked up to when I was young. The wish for everyone to be happy was an impossible one, which came from Kiritsugu, not me.
気づいているのだろう、シロ。お前の理想はただの借り物だ。エミやキリツグという男がなりたかったもの、エミやキリツグが正しいと信じたものを真似ているだけに過ぎない。それは。
I grit my teeth and desperately try to bolster my breaking heart. And yet,
正義の味方だと笑わせるな。誰かのためになるとそう繰り返し続けたお前の思いは決して自ら生み出されたものではない。そんな男が他人の助けになるなどと思い上がりも甚だしい。
his blades cut through the air. His swings filled with reproach rained down on me with unprecedented aggression. As I watch the raging flurry of blows, I accept that I'm gonna die here, just like I did 10 years ago. Impact after impact pounds me down. Once beautiful swordsmanship has deteriorated into brute force. My left arm trembles after blocking the strikes. The shock of it has broken my fingers holding the sword. I scrounge up every bit of mental focus I have left to create a concho and just barely deflect another slash. He's got me. His first assault already pushed me to near death. I won't survive this next barrage of blows. Yet somehow, my heart is broken, but my body denies him with all its might. It screams that he's wrong. Like a part of me earnestly feels that it's wrong to admit he's right and let myself die here. I look up. My eyes aren't working. They don't see my enemy. They only replay his memories. Within them, there's an image of me huddled up like a turtle in its shell, trying desperately to survive. I hear more than the thousands of blades clashing. It's him. With each attack, he berates himself.
そうだ。誰かを助けたいという願いが綺麗だったから憧れた。
I take his sword strikes again and again. Bakuya is broken. Kancho is my last lifeline.
故に自身からこぼれ落ちた気持ちなどない。これを偽善と言わず何という。
Kancho breaks, and my life begins to peter out. My chest hurts. Shiro Emiya's heart is torn apart, not by the waterfall of sword strikes, but by Archer's words.
この身は誰かのためにならなければならないと脅迫観念に突き動かされてきた。それが苦痛だと思うことも破綻していると気づく間もなく、ただ走り続けた。
Denial after denial. With each rejection, I lose my will to fight. My body already wants to retire, unable to take the physical shock. And yet, that very same body keeps denying him desperately.
だが、所詮は偽物だ。そんな偽善では何も救えない。いいな。もとより何を救うべきかも定まらない。
I'm sent flying. I sail through the air, not unlike during the encounter with Berserker. But I plant my feet. His bullet threatened to send me tumbling into the rubble, but I stand my ground with all my might. My body knows. It's stubbornly refusing to fall because it knows that it can't get up again once it does. I plant my broken concho on the ground and use it to support my weight. I pitch forward, nearly falling over, and I can't get up. I brace myself against Concho with both hands, holding onto it like a walking stick. I must look pathetic. From the side, I might even look like I'm kneeling before him.
その理想は破綻している。自身より他人が大切だという考え、誰もが幸福であってほしい願いなど空想のおとぎ話だ。そんな夢を抱いてしか生きられないのであれば、抱いたまま溺死しろ。
My life isn't worth living. No, he said that my entire life was worthless. My weapons are gone. It's futile to even stand up. Meanwhile, he doesn't even look winded, much less wounded. This duel is decided. No, it was from the very beginning. There was no way Shiro Emiya could ever match the heroic spirit Emiya. But this is wrong too. If the gap in our abilities was truly that large, then this silly scuffle wouldn't even happen. It's my heart that lost this fight. I'm weak because I realized that I'm wrong and accepted that he's right. I've only lost on that front because...
何
Because my body has been protesting that it won't lose to you. Why else? Why else would it get stronger every time you dismiss my ideals as fake?
ふざけんなこんちくしょう
I can reach him. I know I can. If my weapons are broken, I'll just use them as they are. If everything I have is broken, then I'll mobilize everything I don't have. If I haven't lost, then there are depths I've still yet to reach. My headache throbs again. For an instant, I see his scenery. Probably for the last time. I can't understand him, but I think I can learn from his pain. He's a hero whose incantations express and judge himself. Right now, I can't understand the will behind those words, but I'll accept them in your place.
体は
I chant the verse, loud and proud. Emiya's own words hurt him. He accepted that and chose to kill me. That's all he wanted at the end of his long journey. Then, just as you deny me, I'll strike you down if it's the last thing I do.
体は剣でできている
I whisper it without thinking. I look up. On the verge of death, I stand up to him. I swallow a glob of blood that was blocking my throat. The once fading young sword, or Yang sword, Kancho is cloaked in a concrete image once more.
貴様まだそうだこんなのが夢だなんてそんなこと
I've always known that, but I kept believing in it because I think it's right. I followed in Kiritsugu's footsteps because it's a dream that won't come true and an impossible ideal. Even if it never comes true, if I keep running, I'll get close to it one day.
そうか彼女の鞘契約が切れたところでその死後は続いている
I ready my sword. I don't care about that. Right now, I just...
お前には負けない誰かに負けるのはいいけど自分には負けられない
need to keep being Shiro Emiya until the very end. It is an unbelievable fight between swords. He charges in despite being fully wounded. His fingers are broken, his limbs shredded. He hasn't even realized that he's not breathing anymore. The speed is insignificant, and the blows he delivers are mediocre. He may have absorbed Archer's knowledge and advanced to a point where he can fight him, but he's back to being a boy again. He executes a haphazard, mediocre attack. And yet, that first blow is heavier than any of the other attacks before. Apathy turns to astonishment. His sword seems to shout. The boy swings a longsword faster than his opponent ever imagined. Where's this power coming from? The vigor of their clash reaches an unprecedented pitch. The man can't even pivot to defense. Each attack is lethal enough to take his head. He judges that this situation must be taken seriously and moves his swords accordingly. Up and down, left and right. The 4 slashes unleashed in an instant are enough to cut the boy to ribbons. But he blocks them. No, the boy launches a bladed tempest that overcomes the 4-fold technique. He wields his longsword with swift skill. The man senses that he must attack or be cut down. The longsword assails his dying enemy. The boy swings his sword foolhardily. The two sides struggle. Sparks fill the air, declaring that any who enter the ring will be torn apart. But this should be the dying spark of a walking corpse. With each attack, the boy's breathing becomes more labored, and he looks closer to collapse. But he takes another step and attacks again. Having seen this, the man is sure of something. His enemy doesn't have any strength left. The boy in front of him is a walking corpse, and yet, Yeah, why does the boy continue to wield the sword as if he has infinite strength? He isn't conscious of it. He doesn't know what his opponent is doing, nor can he tell if his attacks are working. He cries out, his muscles begging for oxygen. They demand that he stop due to a lack of blood. And he pushes through it all with brute force. Only one thought occupies his mind. His feelings are fake, just like this guy says. He probably can't become a hero of justice. As long as Shiro Emiya looks up to that goal, he'll reach the same destination as the man before him. But he felt that it was beautiful. He knows that it's hypocritical to value others over himself. And still, he longed for such a life, wondering how nice it would be to live that way. It's the only motivation driving his body forward on the verge of death. He can't hear what his enemy is saying. It speaks to how fierce the clash is and how meek his foe's voice is. Looking closer, the boy's hands gripping the sword have melded with the hilt. He must have done it to secure the sword, but by doing that, he would directly feel the impact on the sword. He's bloody, and if he takes a single step back, he'll pitch over. The boy's accepted that each swing of his sword will be a hellish suffering. It irritates the man, but he takes it. It seems to offend the stubbornly persistent enemy. But he's just as irritated with himself for not backing down when he knows that even one step back would end this. But how could he retreat now? There's no room for parley now, and he's in a pitched duel with his enemy. It would be shameful to turn his back on the childishly forged sword, and it would be utterly humiliating not to meet the attacks head on. All it would take for his enemy to destroy himself is for the man to retreat one step. But he senses that he'll have conceded something decisive if he backs down now. Soon, this roar will fade. His enemy's at his limit. 3 more attacks. If he repels just 3 attacks, then his enemy will destroy himself. He clicks his tongue at his own foolishness. Just earlier, he thought the boy had 2 attacks left. Then he delivered more than 10. The boy isn't going to fall. The boy's voice is inaudible. The boy who's on the brink of death frantically goes up against the obstacle before him. And then he sees him. He looks upon him with his own eyes for the first time. I keep swinging my sword until I reach my foe with arms ready to fall off. The only thing that can be heard is a strained yell. That shout is the price I pay for each exchange of blows. There are the people who weren't saved, and myself who wasn't saved. The memories come unbidden, and I swore that I'd never let this happen again. How many years have passed? There are things that were lost. Things I lost. There will always be things that I forget and fail to pick up. That's why I made an oath I won't forget. To become a hero of justice. To always do what's right. Even if it isn't my own wish. Even if it's just a way to lighten my own sins, I'll keep that oath. I'll make that dream come true. When I was young, someone saved me, entrusted me with his dream, and passed away alone. I believed in the wish behind his words. Even if the whole world shuns me and the oath turns out to be a curse, I won't give it up. And then, the man realizes that there is no end to this repeating conflict. This enemy will not stop. The enemy will not stop on his own. His enemy makes each attack with desperate abandon, but he isn't even aware of who he's fighting. The boy's trying to cut down himself. He is the one who's doing the obstructing. The man's enemy is swinging his sword for everything he's believed in, and everything he'll continue to believe in. Realizing that, the man gnashes his teeth. He sees the boy keep fighting, even if he knows he can't win. Even if he knows there's no point. That's the exact mistake the man once made. So, why? Why does he want to see how far this boy will go?
そこまでだ。消えろ!
He raises his longsword. The enemy's attacks can no longer be trifled with. He repels the attacks and counters with a strike meant to crush the enemy's skull with certainty. The high-pitched sound of metal. The boy repels what should have been a decisive blow. He couldn't even stop one attack until now, but he easily defended against a strike delivered with the man's full might. He holds his breath. The enemy flicks his sword and resheaths it in a single, large stance. But his eyes, they're looking straight at him. The impact breaks one of my limbs. My sense of pain isn't numb at all. The pain is enough to knock me out, but I push through it with sheer rage. I'm dehydrated. I can't afford to lose any more fluid. The enemy's left arm is wide open. I've lost one side of my body, so this will have to be the last blow. But that thought doesn't enter my head. All I can think is... He slashed it with the longsword in an effort to protect his exposed left chest. He can make it. It would be easy to close the distance. This is my last chance. That's the only thought on my mind. Even if Shiro Emiya is fake, this is real. He wants everyone to be happy. It's an ideal that everyone's felt, I'm sure. So I won't take it back, because this dream will always be. His gaze is straight. Mistakes and lies. He shakes off everything that pierces him, and he continues to run without stopping. The words drive straight into his chest. The attack comes fueled by hell-bent determination. There's enough time to block it, but the gears never turn in his head, and the battle draws to an abrupt close. He hears the sound of the blade piercing his chest. The surprised one is, of course, the Red Knight. The boy bet everything on a desperate attack, so he would expect it to defeat his opponent. He couldn't afford to make another choice anyway. So it is the Knight who is surprised. Truly, he wonders why he didn't defend against an attack that would have been easy to stop. I'm about to collapse, so I lean on my good right leg. I drove Concho into Archer's chest. Has she been watching the whole time? Saber asks a question from the entrance to the hall. Archer doesn't answer. Maybe he feels that he doesn't need to. Or maybe he doesn't have an answer for her. My fingers feel numb. My broken fingers tell me that they can't hold the sword anymore. The Red Knight doesn't move. I might have stabbed him through the chest, but he's a servant, so he could easily counterattack. But his arms remain at his sides, and show no sign of movement. I know what that means, of course. I fix my gaze on him and declare victory. The Red Knight closes his eyes once, and admits. He stares into the distance. His murmurs sound like it was meant to convince himself. That was such an awesome fight. Fought heroic spirit Emiya and won. I pull out the sword. The moment my projected sword touches the air, it disperses into dust, as if it never existed. I finally look around, my tension drained. What a wreck. My lacerations look like they're on the mend, but in some places, they're turning into a reddish-black color. Archer said something about being saber-sheathed, but I wonder how it decides what to heal first. It heals the cuts right away, but broken bones seem to be a lower priority. Oh. I hear hurried footsteps coming from the west side of the hall in the direction Lancer disappeared off to. Someone's coming. She appears in the second-story terrace, jumps down to the hall floor without hesitating, and hugs herself from the pain of the fall.
Shiro, 無事? あーちゃん、あんたその傷どうしちゃったのよ?
Tosaka raises her voice to match the distress with which she arrived. Lancer rescued her, just as promised. Plus, I'm honestly amazed to see Tosaka alive and well. She can't decide if she wants to check if I'm okay or be upset at Archer for getting injured. Not to mention she missed the whole importance of this fight.
彼女がもう少し非道な人間なら、私もかつての自分になど 戻らなかったもの。
The Red Knight's words are sarcastic, but I can only hear warmth behind them. After giving Tosaka a look, he turns on his heel as if to leave the stage.
ともあれ、決着はついた。お前を認めてしまった以上、エミヤなどという英雄はここにはいられん。敗者は早々に立ち去るとしよう。
He isn't even gonna say goodbye to Tosaka? He's heavily wounded, and he doesn't have a master. Is he gonna disappear here and return to where the other heroic spirits come? It all happened in an instant. Alito attacked just as I began to relax around Tosaka. Multiple swords rain down. The torrent of blades comes down to skewer me as I stand around spacing out. This guy has some impeccable freaking timing. I hit the ground. Someone pushes me and I fall backwards onto some rubble. I was shoved about a meter away. From where I am, I can only watch. Aw, damn, dude. My broken limbs can't support my body and I'm too weak to even stand up. Instead, all I can do is watch another version of me get skewered before my very eyes.
何者
Saber's challenge breaks the silence. Her voice is directed at the second floor at the top of the broken stairs.
楽しませてもらったぞ。偽物同士。実にくだらない戦いだった。
貴様アーチャー。
10年ぶりだな、セイバー。お前とはもう少し早く顔合わせをする気であったが、予定が変わった。予想外の事故ばかり起きてな。俺の思惑とはずれてきてしまった。
It's Gilgamesh, the servant who defeated Berserker and killed Ilya. He ignores Saber's glare and looks down at me and Archer.
さて、理解したか？それが本物の重みというものだ。いかに形を似せ力を似せようが、所詮は作り物。本物の輝きには及ばない。
He raises a hand, as if about to command an army.
偽物が作り上げた贋作など見るのも汚らわしい。クズめ。貴様らのうちには何一つ新作が存在せぬ。他人の真似事だけで出来上がった偽物は即ゴミになるがいい。
He unleashes countless noble phantasms into the hall. An unavoidable torrent falls on us. I count just under 30 noble phantasms. Even if I was still in one piece, there's nothing I could do to defend myself against this assault. Dust fills the air. The hall collapses even further, rocked by explosions. In the middle of it all, I see him. A fluttering red cloak. He runs toward me, looking like a pincushion, and gives me another shove. I watch his red figure fade into the distance. His eyes convey a firm message. You defeat him. He tells me that since he lost to me and I'm gonna become a hero of justice, this is a villain I have to defeat. A cloud of dust blocks out my vision. The red cloak sinks into the rubble. I'm sure I saw him before he left. His confident eyes declare, this servant is no match for us. It won't be Saber or Tosaka who defeats him. My other self tells me that Shiro Emiya is the Golden Servant's natural enemy. My vision clears up. A layer of dust settles over the hall, now covered in a new layer of rubble. Nothing else happens. The Red Knight disappeared after he was buried under the rubble.
ほう、驚いたぞアーチャー。あの傷で他人を救う余裕があったとはな。
His tone is filled with derision and irony. The man's lips curl into a smirk. He looks down at Archer's bloody remains. Silence falls. Gilgamesh is the strongest being in this place now. One wrong move and we'll follow Archer. Saber's lips are tightly sealed. She's watching for a chance to face the enemy. However,
この誰に断って私のアーチャーに手を出してんのよ。
Tosaka loses her temper after losing Archer. Light flies through the air. Tosaka charges a jewel with as much energy as she can and fires pure destructive energy without any modifications. Gilgamesh doesn't even try to dodge it. The attack doesn't leave a scratch on him.
死に損ないを先にするつもりだったのだが順序が変わったな女。